evening, everybody. Welcome to the Sulk stream. I'm your host, Incredible Sulk, and I hope you guys are doing fantastic today. Wonderful. As always, doing those things that make me proud. Being good cult members, going around spreading the news of the cult as usual. I hope you guys had a good whatever yesterday was and whatever today is. I don't want to keep up with the weekdays. It seems pointless. It's arbitrary. Right? What's it matter what day we call it? I know you have to be places on Monday. That sucks. Anyways, what day is it? It's Wednesday. So it's the top of the week. It is the middle of the week. We are almost to the end of the week. And we continue to do this. So here we are, doing the Sulk stream once again on a Wednesday evening. So welcome to a Wednesday show, everybody. Tonight we are doing the Chilean miner disaster, where a bunch of miners went into a hole, and the hole collapsed, and they had to hang out there for a while, and then something else happened, I assume. I don't know. I don't want to spoil it for you guys, you know? That would ruin the point. Sure, you might know what happened if you paid any attention to current events, but that's not why we're here. That's not why we're here at all, is it? Is it? We also might delve into some David Icke. We want to also finish up that video about I have no mouth and I must scream. Wait, let's go back. Okay, this is good too. Yeah. It definitely changes the vibe, doesn't it? It definitely changes the vibe. It's getting hot. It is getting to that time of the summer when it is getting too hot for me. I hold heat a lot and I sweat like, I don't know. I just sweat. I can't compare it to anything. I might slip out of this chair, honestly, just because my air conditioning cannot keep up with the Florida heat. But this is the life I chose. So blame me. It is my fault. Anyways, thank you so much for coming. I hope you guys are doing good. I hope you guys are ready. So get comfy and get cozy. Get a nice bottle of Chilean wine. I know they have it. You can buy it at the dollar store. It is very affordable. Is it going to be the best thing ever? No, probably not. Is it going to give you a terrible hangover? Yes, that is almost guaranteed. Any wine will do that, honestly. I cannot process wine properly. I don't even know why I try. I just don't know why. So, get nice and lubed up for us. If you're working, please continue working. And thank you for having me on the job site. Hi, my name's John. I say terrible things on purpose. That's for anybody listening that might not be listening on purpose. If you're driving, please keep driving and drive safely. Don't drink any of that Chilean wine. That shit's nightmare fuel. Buckle up. It's important. I like how we go the Flintstones route with this. Going a Flintstone route with this? I'm really digging these AI videos. Right? I told you, I'm a fan. I went with Mr. House on Fallout New Vegas, so still playing Expedition 33, having a lot of fun. I'm sure you guys wanted to know how that was going. Anyways, thank you so much for coming. It is a Wednesday night. I'm the Incredible Sulk. This is the Sulk stream, and this is called the Unbelievable Chile Mine Rescue. Enjoy.
August 5, 2010, at the San Jose Gold and Copper Mine in Chile. And more than 2,000 feet below the surface, a couple of miners notice a faint rumbling sound echoing through the rocks.
Okay. Unias.
The miners have heard rumblings like this before as the rock adjusts to new excavations. But
Manda again. She says she's drinking. That's wonderful news. I'm glad to hear that, Manda. Don't you go sober on us. Don't you dare go sober on us. What are you drinking? Zimas, I assume?
Today, these rumblings are much more frequent.
Rushing Matt says these AI girls have chubbed up. Are you not into it? I understand. I like mine frail, weak, Again, so they can't fight off my advances. It's a whole thing I have in my head.
Than usual. The time is 2 p.m. and the
It's okay to
workers
be
are trying
Christian.
to wrap up
5
as
likes
much
and
work
counting.
as possible before
We'll
they will
get there. We'll get there. I think I need at least 10 before I'm like, oh, that was a bummer. I mean, below 10 is pretty bad.
picked up by a work truck.
not bad,
Which will
it's
drive
just
them
not
all the
great.
way to the surface
Monkey.
for lunch.
Okay.
But then, suddenly, they
The roll call has been made. All right. Everybody's here. Well, not everybody, but the people, there's people here.
hear something much louder than the previous rumblings.
Onias says he's drinking his last Four Loko. Is it the caffeine ones? Is it your last Four Loko from like years ago before they outlawed Four Lokos? Or is it like the sissy Four Lokos they have now? You drinking a sissy Four Loko, which is just basically a can of wine, right? It used to be a can of wine with caffeine in it. I guess you can crush caffeine pills up in it. Do that.
The blast sends
This is a
those
15
working on the
likes
higher
type of
levels
show.
of the mine to the ground.
Yeah.
And causes the
Oh, yeah, it is. Oh, yeah, it is.
tunnels and shafts to collapse.
Oh, my God. I hope it cools down
Large
here.
rocks tumble down, sweeping across the workers, and all they can do is hang on to them and ride out. The workers have no way of knowing yet, but the San Jose mine has just collapsed, trapping them beneath the surface.
Okay, sweet. That's nice. That's good to know.
The mine is located in the Atacama Desert, one of the driest areas in the world. Conditions here are so extreme that the site is often used for simulations of Mars expeditions.
Onia says fruit punch flavored sissy locos. Girl locos. They're barely loco at all.
And yet, the Atacama Desert is an incredibly valuable asset to
The
Chile.
monkey says you can buy caffeine powder and sprinkle it in. You should rail it. You should cut up a line on a mirror and then be like, do it, it's Coke. Bring it to a club and like, do it, it's Coke. It's actually just caffeine. So when they bust you, you'd be like, ha, I'm just doing lines of caffeine. So this is not illegal. Now leave me alone. They're going to kick you out, but
Chile. And that is because of what lies beneath.
14% alcohol is a hefty drink. That is a hefty drink. If you drink 2 of those Four Locos, you're going to be pretty wasted.
Abundant mineral resources, from copper
monkey says,
to
"Boof it."
silver to gold.
You can boof it.
When looking at the mine from
Might as
above
well.
ground, its true scale is hidden.
Might
To
as well
go
boof
in,
that
there's
shit.
an unassuming 5 by 5 meter entrance, and it leads to a tunnel known as the ramp that spirals downwards with several branching paths.
I
leading-
think I could be a miner. I think I think I would be good at it. I would go down in the hole and I just swing my pickaxe all day and think about my family back up on the surface. And they probably wouldn't respect me. I'd come home dusty, like covered in coal. You know, it would have to be a coal mine because they wouldn't trust me in a diamond mine or anything like that. I'd try to like hide it in my lip, like with one of those Africans. Yep. Try to smuggle out blood diamonds. I would try to smuggle out coal too. Somewhere.
off into the mountain. The workers orient themselves underground based on
I might get that Starlink. I might be getting me that Starlink.
level system
There's a good
using
shot of
sea
that.
level for reference. The entrance is at level 720, which
It's
is
never good to fuck
720
miners.
meters
No.
above the sea.
No one's gonna fuck me over, if that's what you mean, right? Oh wait, you put an O in there. Oh,
When the mine collapsed, some of the
That's
workers
not
were
the
as
same thing.
deep as level 40.
yeah, miners. Yeah, no.
In the immediate aftermath of the collapse, some of the workers tried to make a break for the surface.
Pamunky says swallow them, then poop them out later. The diamonds or the coal? Because like for me to swallow enough coal for where it like actually becomes a profit, I'm gonna have a belly full of coal, and then it's gonna poop black, and I could get maybe a pound out, maybe a pound. If I ate like a pound of coal, and I can keep more than a pound of coal in my belly, probably. But if I were to like let it go through my system and then excrete it, because it doesn't, it'll be solid and stuff, right? It'll be jagged too. So it's not going to be a good time. What's the price of a pound of coal? $1? I could do it for $1.
They get into a truck.
It doesn't sound like a worthwhile endeavor, right? It sounds like it would be a nightmare. For $1, that's probably why they don't do it. But there could be the first. I could be the first.
Drive up the ramp. However,
the coal mule, right? I could be a coal mule.
Quickly get stuck as the road is so littered with debris
Driving
that
the
they
old
need to
trusty
continue
Toyota.
on foot. They reach level 190, where they find the
This would be my colon. Is this what?
cause of the collapse. A giant slab of diorite, estimated as tall as a 45-story building and weighing 770,000 tons, has broken off from the mountain and crashed down the mine, completely blocking the ramp.
That would be a bummer. Whoop. Guess we're stuck down here. You think they didn't like resort? No. I was gonna be like, did they resort to gay sex? But they didn't like live long enough. Maybe they did. I don't know.
The workers are trapped, and their only option
It always comes back to gay sex.
now is to retreat
What is
back
with
down.
this show?
Located at level 90, there is a small enclosed space known as the refuge. It is designated as an emergency shelter area for situations like this. Fresh air is pumped in from the surface, and emergency food and medicine is locked in metal cabinets that are to be opened should the need arise.
Well, that's good thinking.
As the workers descend
What do you
back
have
down
for me?
into the mine, the word spreads
Damn
of the
it.
collapse, until the news eventually reaches
Okay,
the
it's
shift
okay to be
supervisor,
Christian.
Luis Orzua, who is working
Says-
at level 90.
This is me as a miner. Coal. I'm glad how you rattled that off so quick. That could be a poster. That could be a poster on my wall. You know, I have some space. You know, there's swords and daggers, and there's a few pictures now because my wife redid my office because it used to be pretty cluttered in here, but now it's looking better. So maybe this is gonna go on the wall. Maybe not though.
He orders the workers
We'll
to
see.
take shelter in the refuge and heads down further into the mine to evacuate those working below. Because of the distance from the collapse and ear protection worn by the man,
Just something. Okay, all right. Well, so Sleepy gave me this. What is just something I did yesterday while watching Daywave, which is what should the background be? This is Royce. You should do Marie. You should do Marie as the Indian one that can stretch. I forget his name, but the Indian one that's real stretchy, you should do Marie as her. So that would be great.
those down below didn't realize what was
whatever.
happening until Urzua orders them to the refuge. Once everyone has gathered together, Urzua then conducts
There's a bunch of illegals in this mine.
a roll call and counts 33 men trapped. With the ramp completely closed, some of the workers realize that they might be able to escape through the ventilation shafts that lead.
Zoom in, it's Royce as Zangief. Yeah, no, I understood. And you asked me who would my Street Fighter guy, and I just said Zangief because I don't know. Who would I be as Street Fighter? Who would be a good me as Street Fighter? Let's look into that. Who would be good as? Let's see. Oh, that's my David Icke lecture. I can't get rid of that. We're gonna need that. The Street Fighter. Because I don't know. I didn't play tons of Street Fighter. I kind of hate fighting games. I'm not that good at them. Let's see characters. I don't know. I have no idea. Ryu? Do I seem like a Ryu? I don't
to
know.
various parts of the mine.
I'm not a
According to
Chun-Li.
Stan-
I am not a Chun-Li. All right? I do not have the hips to pull off a Chun-Li. I wish I did. I don't. Right? With the thing going down? No. Jess, get a Chun-Li outfit for later.
standard safety regulations, there should be
later.
ladders that can be used to climb through those shafts. To investigate this, a small group breaks off.
Make him that black boxer guy that looks like Mike Tyson. I don't know who Mike Tyson is. Just make me Mike Tyson. Put a tattoo on my face. I know I'm going to get that picture now. With me with a tattoo and a missing tooth, probably.
But when they get there, they discover a heartbreaking sight.
Cammy Sulk?
There's no ladder in the shaft.
Which one's Cammy?
The owners of the mine never finished installing them.
Balrog? You guys know too much about Street Fighter. I don't know any of these Street Fighter names. Hold on. Okay. Now I have to, like, look them up. Sorry. Fighter. Okay. All right. Here we go. Character list. Damn it. All right. Okay. So, Cammy, yeah, that's the blonde one, right? I'd be a hot Cammy for sure. I don't think I'd be any. Johnny Cage is a Mortal Kombat, right? Yeah, that's Mortal Kombat. My guess would be Ryu. Right? What's this one? Damn it. I can't even fucking do this. This is ridiculous. This is so dumb. All right. Okay, I might be Cammy. Cammy's kind of the babe. This is Ryu. I think Ryu would probably do me as Ryu. Do me as Ryu because I think that's probably the closest one. I'm buff like Ryu. So, yeah. Yeah, that looks pretty similar to me. He doesn't have the beard or anything like that, but that's probably the closest one to me looking. You know.
The surface, the dust cloud has begun pouring out.
I don't know who
entrance.
Rufus is. I don't know enough about Street Fighter. You guys know way more than Street Fighter. I don't know about Street Fighter like you guys do.
As the supervisors realize that something must have gone terribly wrong.
The guy with the big blood, that's Guile. I don't think I'm a Guile. I mean, you try.
One man who, at the time of the collapse, was driving up the ramp is able to
Sulk
make
is
it out
Asian now?
through the blinding ash of dust. With
If you make me look like Frozen, don't make me look like Frozen.
Supervisors present, one would expect immediate help would be organized. However, they decide that there is nothing they can do until the dust fully settles.
There's nothing they could do. Just put a gravestone and then let them... I mean, that's what they probably thought. They were like, well, we're like a mile down and there's like really hard rock everywhere. So we're gonna die down here. We're dead. That would suck. That's a rough position to be in. That's a shitty place to be.
Until they begin their descent down the ramp where they encountered the blockage. Standing face to face with the enormity of the diorite block, completely obstructing the ramp, the supervisors realize that there is no coming through. And still, precious time is lost in the next steps. Despite having a phone line at the mine for...
You'll work it on your downtime at work? Okay. Yeah. Do it. I mean, you could do it now.
For emergencies
what are you doing,
such
watching
as
me?
this, the mine's
That's
owner...
not important.
decide to instead
what are we doing
head
that's
back
important?
towards the closest town in order to get cell service to call for help. Finally,
who are you gonna call? Iron Man? Who exactly? You're gonna hold on. I'll drive to town and then I'll give somebody a call. Who? The cops? They're gonna be like, yeah, that's a giant fucking rock. What do you want us to do about it? It's a giant rock. You want us to arrest that rock? You want us to take it to jail for imprisoning these people? No, we can't do that. What is the Chilean government going to come in and be like, yeah, that's a giant fucking rock. Yep. They're probably dead behind there. They don't know.
After more than 5 hours since the collapse, authorities...
Someone with a drill and a couple of bits. Like a fuck. He comes in with a Ryobi. Yeah, I got my Ryobi here, and I got I got almost a full battery. I think we can go at it, you know. And then he touches it and immediately burns out, and then you're like, have you tried arresting it? No? Oh, okay. There's nothing you can do. Nothing you can do.
The news gets passed from the local fire department and onward until it eventually reaches the disaster office of Chile's Ministry of the Interior. The government deploys special forces in climbing gear with the hope that they could free the trapped miners. The idea is the same one that the miners had in the immediate aftermath.
Despite says I can't start now, my wife gets annoyed when I completely ignore her. Hi, Despite's wife. It's my fault. I'm sorry. He's too busy making a furry pictures of me. I think she understands. I think she gets it.
Ventilation shafts as an escape route.
Valdo, that's the guy, right? No, make Marie Valdo. Make Marie Valdo. Right? Zangief, Royce can be Zangief, and then Marie will be Valdo. That's perfect. That will be perfect. And I guess I'll be Ryu. Again, I don't know who else I could be. Who else could I be? Who else could I be in the Street Fighter canon? The general guy? I don't know.
As these forces...
That might be cool, actually. I have no idea what his name is. Something with a B.
Climb down the shafts secured to ropes, they are alarmed to see cracks in the walls
have headphones
of the shaft.
In? So wait, your wife gets mad when you completely ignore her, yet you have me on your headphones talking in your ear. Okay.
A result of the diorite block pushing against the walls and squeezing the shaft.
Is it Dalsim? Is it Dalsim? I don't know, man. I don't know.
Despite the danger of another collapse, the rescuers continue on, determined to reach any man trapped below. They're able to make it to level 268 before they face a pile of rock and debris that looks as if it could fall on top of them at any moment. These shafts are way too unstable, and as they begin to retreat back, suddenly the rocks begin to fall around.
Dalsim is the Indian stretchy guy. That's who I was thinking of. Dalsim. So I was thinking Maria's Dalsim. Maria's a Dalsim, like Royce is Zangief, or Maria's Dalsim, and then I don't know, like not that one. Is that a Hitler painting? I just have that up.
Its job is
that I just have a Hitler painting up, an original Hitler. Oh, and then that one. Yeah, I don't even know where. There it is. I don't even know, hey, you can make me stacked up. That'd be cool. Some butt. Wait, there we go. Do not make me sexualized. Do not overtly sexualize me, please, because I don't want it to be gay. I want it to be kind of cool. Not super duper gay. Not super gay. I can't stress that enough, guys. I really can't. If you can make it like not super gay. How about this guy? I'm not bald. What's this guy's name? Nishimuro? Okay. That's an option. This is Guile right here. Can't really rock that. I'm not blonde. Unfortunately. Kind of wish I was. Just blonde. That would be weird. Yeah. I don't know. I think Ryu might be our best bet. I think what is the deal with Mrs. Incredible over here? Hold on. Mrs. Incredible? Elastigirl? And you just decide to have the nips out like that? Okay. All right. Whatever. Whatever. I feel like anybody who does Street Fighter art is automatically making it horny. It's just automatically horny. That's the only option for it. You just have to make it horny.
Proving that their worries are justified. The rescuers manage to make it out of the ventilation shafts and back to safety. But now they need to report to...
fuck you. It's okay to be Christian sent this, and I am not Rufus. I am not Rufus. This guy looks nothing like me. This guy looks nothing like me. No, that ain't gonna work at all. That just ain't gonna work at all. But keep pitching, keep pitching.
Those waiting anxiously on the surface that a rescue like this will be impossible. The only option left will be to drill.
Onia says, imagine what kind of stuff you could do with a chick with an elastic body. You need to go to horny jail. That's horny jail, bro. That's horny jail talk.
2,300 feet.
That could be JJ. That could legitimately be JJ. That's a great background noise. That's a great idea. That could legitimately be JJ.
Beneath
I think
the
he's bald
rescuers
too.
Delivering the bad news.
JJ is Rufus. All right, we've determined JJ. But what would Frozen be? Just, you can make Frozen a girl, right? You can make Frozen Ryu. And like hanging off of Royce. That'd be pretty funny. That'd be pretty funny. Get creative with
From their
it.
own failed attempt at navigating the ventilation shafts must also return to the refuge.
Bison or Ryu, final vote. Oh, shit. I gotta look at Bison. Yep. That's definitely a Bison. I'm going to go with Ryu.
With bad news of their own. As experienced miners, many realize that this is going to take days.
If you look at me, you can make me look sick as Bison. Whatever you want to do. Those are the options, right? Bison or Ryu. Whatever you think is easier, let it flow through you, right? I would look sick in a cape with a hat and stuff like that. I would look sick as Bison. I know it's not an actual bison. I would look sick as Bison.
If not weeks. The enormity of what has happened hits some harder than
Okay, we're going with M. Bison. Is that the vote? The vote's in? Bison is in. Okay, Bison it is.
others, and it particularly affects Shift Supervisor Urzura.
Wilson is just one of the background Shadaloo boys from the... Is he just like the 8-bit characters that have like two movements like that, right? In the background as people are fighting? Yes. And make them all frozen. Make them all just like 20 Frozens. And they're all just doing this. They have two movements, right? To save on, storage.
Urzura makes an announcement that beginning with this moment, he is no longer...
Dan Snot, you can't be anybody. You can't be anybody. You are not allowed... No. You can't be anybody.
...the boss, and that they will need to treat each other as equals. Knowing they're...
Doesn't Bison have some electric powers like John has taser powers? I don't know. He might. It sounds appropriate. It sounds like I have limited powers. I could do like static electricity.
...to be trapped for long. The miners next take inventory
To rub my feet on the carpet wearing socks.
of the supplies
Then touch
in
a
the
doorknob.
refuge, and the workers are soon met with another heartbreak. What was supposed to be enough food to feed an entire shift of workers for 2 days turned out to be 1 can of salmon, 1 can of peaches, 1 can of peas, 18 cans of tuna, 9
Somebody was pilfering from that. Somebody was pilfering from the supplies closet. I guarantee you. Somebody was going in there and like just grabbing some, taking it home for dinner because, they're Chileans, right? They don't, they just got a little shisty. And they're like, we're never going to need this. And I hope it was somebody that was actually trapped in there. I really do. I hope he like has closed cans of tuna at his house and he's like, oh fuck. Oh fuck.
23 packages of cookies,
Well, at least they have a lot of cookies.
24 liters of condensed milk, 8 of them expired, 10
Oof. How are only 8 of them expired?
bottles of water, and some medicine, also expired.
Okay, well, that's... See, expired medicine is... It's still drugs, right? It's, you know, it'll still do the thing. Sure, they have an expiration date, but if you take expired medicine, you'll still get high. I know.
All of this will need to be shared among 33 men and has to last potentially for weeks.
Okay, so you're going to make me as Bison despite? Good. Sweet. I'm actually excited. Make me look bad. No, I can't say anything because you're going to do the opposite of what I tell you to do.
Looking at the meager food reserves, the men come up with a plan to make it last as long as possible. Every miner will get 1 meal a day, consisting of 1 cookie and 1 spoonful of tuna mixed with water that has been heated to turn it into a broth. It is a meal that has
sucks.
less than 300 calories, but it is all they can do.
300 calories, though. Okay, 300 calories. You can last a good long time, right? It takes like a month for you to starve to death on 0 calories a day. So if you're getting 300 calories a day, you're going to be okay for a while. Not forever, for a while.
Drinking water, fortunately, is less of an issue. Even though they only have 10 bottles of clean, fresh water, there are large tanks nearby filled with thousands of liters of industrial water that is used to keep the engines of their machines
Okay,
cool.
well, that's good.
This water is drinkable, even though it isn't exactly desirable as it is contaminated with oil.
Ooh, that's not good.
With a somewhat stable plan for food and water set, a new constant threat begins.
Yeah, what are they doing with the milk? They said you get tuna and water and a cookie, and nobody gets milk? There's cookies and milk. You could live off cookies and milk for a while. That's cookies and milk. That ain't bad. Just sitting down in a cave, eating milk and cookies. That'd be nice.
To materialize.
It'd be nice if I was alone. You see, if I had my choice of ways to die, being trapped in a cave doesn't sound like the worst way to go. I understand the pitch blackness and the absolute silence might drive some people insane. However, it kind of sounds comforting. It kind of sounds nice, you know, just to be alone with my thoughts, just free to hallucinate as I see fit. And then I could just imagine I'm wherever I want to be. It's not too bad.
Mental collapse.
Wouldn't want the
Would
risk of
anyone even
diarrhea
be
with milk.
searching
Are
for
you
that?
lactose intolerant? Because, yeah, that sucks. I drink a lot of milk.
Them? Or would they just be presumed dead and the mine be sealed off?
Oof. That's a big oof. Oh, they're dead. Just seal it off. Oof.
To keep these shadows at bay, one of the workers, an electrician, figures out a way to keep their flashlights charged. He does so by wiring them up to the large batteries of the work vehicles. And the miners even decide to use the artificial light to simulate night and day, keeping track of time and maintaining a comforting sleep rhythm for themselves.
That's not the
But
worst
the
idea.
light isn't enough to fend off the shadows of the mind. And so, the pastor decides to step in. Jose Enriquez isn't actually a pastor by trade, but he is a devout evangelical man. The workers soon call him Pastor, a nickname that he earns because he leads the man in prayer. These prayer sessions become a fixture in the man's cycle. Have a restless sleep throughout the night plagued by nightmares, wake up to the artificial sun that is their flashlights.
You're going to have nightmares too? Well, you're going to have nightmares. And then you wake up and you're like, oh, thank God, I'm buried in a cave. That sucks. You can't, like, I don't know. I know you can't control your nightmares or anything like that, but it just seems like, That's not fair.
joined together for
I mean, I know it's not fair being trapped in a cave either, but you get what you get.
sermon delivered by Pastor Enriquez, and then eat a single meal of one cookie and broth made from oily water. And most of all, simply wait, never knowing if anyone is
They
even
don't have any games or nothing.
bothering to search for them.
At least there's no clowns in the mine. That's
Though
a good point.
completely separated
That's a
from
really
the society
good point. Why would there be clowns in the mine? Or like worse, like what if there was not clowns in the mine, and then you heard clowns in the mine after it collapsed? That would be an issue, right? Like it released something, like some sort of ancient evil, and now you're all dealing with that. That's a movie. I'm pitching a movie right now, right? It's It Too, Chilean miners. Except for they're not all going to gangbang down there. They might.
above.
They might.
The miners created their own functioning society underground.
A game would be
From
clutch, yeah.
pastor to doctor. And although he had formally stepped down, Ursula still was seen by many as some form of leader. You could think of it as a city below ground. And just like there was a city below, above ground, a new city also started forming. Many of the miners' families were frustrated by the lack of communication, and news reports offered confusing and conflicting information.
It's okay if Krishna says a Game Boy with Kirby's Adventure would be sweet. You see, if it was just a game, like, all right, he'd have to bring down a Game Boy, right? And then I feel like a lot of people would be fighting over the Game Boy because you're just so bored all the time. At least there's no women down there, right? Or is that a good thing? Or is that a bad thing, right? If there was women, they could restart society and like evolve to like see in the darkness and like, you know, have a break off civilization underneath the earth. But no, they'd probably just have a woman complaining at them until they all starve to death. Making things worse. Making
Therefore,
things worse.
many wives and parents and children decided to head to the mine directly.
Tetris? See, Tetris would invite the comparison of a collapsing mine, right? You know, because like there's blocks that are falling and things start to fall too fast. I feel like it would give people PTSD, but I guess it would be better than nothing. But yeah, that would probably be the worst game. It would be the worst game. It would be the worst game. It would be the
One
worst
of the
game.
miner's sisters, Maria Segovia, immediately begins to take
Oof. You know, I saw this movie. I think it was called The 33, where it was about this, and they replaced these people with obviously much better looking people. Thankfully, because I wouldn't have watched it. I would have seen this lady and I've been like, I can't watch this. I know that's how modern movies are with like Romeo and Juliet, and like Juliet is like, come on. But they didn't do that in this movie. They were kind enough to actually put some attractive people. It doesn't have to be like historically accurate, right? They're still basically, they're the same shade and roughly the same age. They just didn't use this or anything like this, right? This is not just an age issue. This is a poor living situation. You see the whites of her eyes? This is liver failure or like kidney damage or something like that. This is not health. This is not the picture of health. Yeah.
charge on behalf of other family members in demanding to know what is going to be done.
Hard Show says these are shitty miners that they can't use their pickaxes. Never dig. Okay, it's not Minecraft, right? They can't just dig their way out, right? They have to have certain types of pickaxes. They need diamond pickaxes. They're going through like dolomite or something. It's not going to work. It's going to take too long.
To rescue the miners.
I like my miners hot. Yeah, they were all shredded. Six packs, and, you know, their wives above were smoking hot, too. Smoking hot. And I was like, okay. It actually might not have been about this at all. It might have been a softcore porn.
Declares that the families will camp
I forget sometimes what I'm watching.
outside of the mine until they're
Just gooning. That's what I was just gooning. I was on a cruise ship. I was just gooning. gooning at sea.
Loved ones are
What else
returned
do you
to them,
do?
and others follow her. Tents are brought out, and the families begin to sleep every night at the site. And every day, Segovia once again demands to know what is happening, until she and the other family members are pushed back and a perimeter is set up around the rescue site.
Good,
with
because you're
only
you're fucking things up, dude. They're trying to think in peace, and you're like, what's happening? What's going on? Where's my husband? What's going on? What's happening? You're not helping. You are never helping. You're like, whenever people get into a fight and then you automatically hear the closest girl to them start to shriek like it's going to help something. Why do you do that? Why do you do that? Is that going to stop them from fighting? No, it's just like the background noise of fights. You always hear that. Stop shrieking.
authorized personnel allowed to
We're
enter.
going to work it out.
Not to be deterred, Segovia leads efforts to get more information by banging pots and pans at the edge of the perimeter.
You have to make noise. You constantly have to make noise, don't you? Why would you do that? These people are trying to think of a way to save your family members, save your husbands from their imminent doom. And you're like, I'm going to bang this pot. I'm just going to bang the shit out of it. That'll do it. What do you think they're doing? What exactly do you think? You think they're just chilling out behind the lines, been like, whoa, that is a big fucking rock. You guys want to play Kirby on my Game Boy? No, they're not doing that. They're trying to do math and shit, and you're just bang, 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 bang. Thanks for helping. Thank you for helping. Your loud noises definitely help the situation. Please step back. Please step back. I don't know what's going through these people's minds.
Until an official comes over to let them know the progress. And with every passing day, the
Bart
tents
Simpson,
continue
yeah.
to grow into essentially a new city.
Ardenshire says if I were a family member, I'd just start, he'd dig straight down, which is foolish, right? Because you don't know, you can dig right into lava or something. You never dig straight up or straight down. These are the rules. But it would be funny if you just walked up there with a shovel and just started digging, right? It might even be inspirational, right? You just have a shovel and you just start digging. You're listening to nobody being they're like, that's not even the right spot. And you just start digging. Eventually people are going to start joining you and then you're all going to be digging. But again, it's completely futile. It's completely futile. But if it keeps you preoccupied so people can actually work and try to figure out the problem, knock yourself out.
City, and its residents
Knock
decide to
yourself
give
out.
it a name, Camp Hope. Meanwhile, Segovia also earns herself a nickname, La Alcaldesa, the mayor of Camp Hope.
Oh, I bet that didn't fill her head with garbage. God, dude, that probably gassed her right up. And she's like, I'm the mayor now. I'm the mayor now because I started banging on a pot. Now I'm going to get in everybody's way and be chewing everybody's fucking ear off because I bet she didn't help. I bet she actively slowed down the progress.
Without knowing about the
Dig it,
formation
please.
of Camp
Exactly.
Hope above them, by the time the third day underground comes about, the workers are increasingly worried. That is, until someone hears a faint sound in the distance. Everyone quiets and they listen together, scarcely able to believe it. It is the sound of a
If they die, this is why. It's because one of your they're probably talking about that down in the hole, right? One guy's wife is, she's especially bad. And he's thinking the entire time, oh, Sylvia or Esperanza or whatever her fucking name is. They're like, oh man, if you fuck this up and annoy them and they can't get to us in time because you're constantly fucking yakking at them. Oh my God, I'm going to haunt your ass. I'm going to haunt you. I'm going to haunt you. You just can't go home and wait it out, right? It would be so much more effective than you setting up shop at the site where you're getting in the way of machinery coming in, right? Because it's probably not that easy to move giant machines into the area, right? It's got to be kind of difficult. And then she's just like setting her tent up in the middle of the road and shit like that. So they have to bring it all down. And then she's banging her pot away. Right? Like, why you got to do that? Just go home. There's nothing you can do here. There's nothing you can do here. Right? Do you want to dig a hole? Do you want to start digging a hole? Go ahead. If it keeps you busy, go ahead.
Drill traveling through the mountain. Up above, a rotary drill has started its work creating a borehole down to an area close to the refuge, where rescuers correctly believe the workers to be. But there are some issues. The simplest method would be to drill straight down to their target. However, this would mean setting up the massive drilling rig right above the cavity left behind by the giant diorite block that has broken off.
Okay.
And because of that cavity, the ground is too unstable here. Therefore, the drill has to be set up at a different location, and the hole will need to be dug at a 78-degree angle. Their target is a small area, 32 feet wide, and they will need to travel through over 2,000 feet of diorite to reach it.
So it's a little bit less than half a mile. That's a long way. That's a lot of digging.
If the drill
They were in there for months, weren't they? They were in there for a long ass time.
deviates just by a small amount, by the time they reach the target, they could be completely off. It is at this point during the rescue that yet another person joins the operation. Andre Sugaret works as an administrator and engineer for the El Teniente mine in Chile. This mine is significantly larger than the San Jose mine, and rescues are much more common there, which makes Cigarette an expert in these situations.
Onia says, always dig a staircase 3 blocks tall to exit quickly. I like how we're talking about like Minecraft digging tactics like we don't all know. Like we didn't all play the game. We all played Minecraft. Everybody in this chat played Minecraft, right? Everybody here played Minecraft. Basically, everybody on the planet played Minecraft. Notch is a billionaire. Notch is worth $1 billion. And yeah, he says some anti-Semitic things on Twitter, which is funny. Because he's a fucking billionaire. He doesn't give a fuck, dude. He does not give a fuck. Damn.
Once he arrives, Cigarette immediately gets to work taking over and scaling up the rescue operation. He deploys 8 additional drills, all of them to run concurrently.
Onia says, why can't they just drill underground and drill through the collapse? I don't know. Maybe the rock is too hard? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. I'm sure they have like experts at the site, and they're not going to be like, oh shit, we just drilled in the rock. It would have been way easier. And everyone's like, oh fuck. Oh well, they're dead now. It's been months. I doubt they did that. I'm sure there's some pretty fairly smart people there that kind of knew what they were doing. Kind of.
Each making its own borehole with the same target near the refuge. He knows they
This
need
fight says I've never played you've never played Minecraft. You gotta play Minecraft. You just have to. You have to play Minecraft. You gotta. You're gonna love Minecraft, dude. You seem like the type of person that would love Minecraft. It is, I mean, it's fun. It's Legos. It's digital Legos, right? You just dig around, look for stuff. You can explore. You fight little monsters, little mobs. You build things that you want. You have a cool house. You make it even cooler. You keep doing that. And, apparently there's a story behind it. I never followed the story. I just kind of dicked around and like built train tracks and shit. But But like the first time I played Minecraft was like in 2010. Years ago. Years ago.
Need to work fast, and the more opportunities they have to hit the target, the better. While the drills continue, Cigarette decides to simultaneously revisit the idea of using the ventilation shafts. He sends climbers back into the mine with the goal to clear these shafts. And as the rescuers get to work on this plan, they soon make a scary observation.
Oh no.
They realize that the diorite block is actually still moving, slowly sinking lower and lower into the mine. It could completely collapse at any moment, and a difficult decision is made. The entrance of the San Jose mine needs to be closed and sealed off permanently, and they will need to put all of their hopes into the drills.
That's not good.
And as if closing the mine wasn't bad news enough, the drilling is not going according to plan. After 3 days of digging, one of the drills is bending in the wrong direction. With no way to fix it, this hole will need to be given up on and restarted at a different location. And it's seeming more and more likely to rescuers that the workers down below would surely have perished by this point. The drills...
Farmer says one of my dealer reps was involved with one of the drilling teams. Wouldn't shut up about how their bit was the one to get through first. Well, that is an achievement, right? I mean, if he's got a really cool drilling bit, that's an achievement. I mean, you know, but sometimes people don't want to hear about it, you know? You know, like a pilot that like just loves planes and constantly talks about planes. No one gives a shit. No one gives a shit about your drill bit. It's nice to hear once, perhaps, and be like, huh, that's an interesting tidbit. That's an interesting little allegory you have for us. Now you can never mention it again. Appreciate that.
Continue on.
I'd appreciate
believing
that.
They will reach anything, when suddenly the unthinkable happens. The drill has broken into a cavern in the mine. The loud drilling is stopped, and the rescuers think that they can hear a tapping sound on the drill. Scarcely able to believe it, they quickly bring up the drill in order to lower a camera instead. Once that is lowered, they turn the camera around the cavern, capturing the walls.
Okay.
But unfortunately, they see nothing but emptiness.
Walls.
With sunken hearts, they...
Rushing Matt says my drill bit goes 4 inches and it's girthy. It's not penis. It's not a penis. It's not. We don't have to make a bunch of penis jokes about how, like, yeah, I drilled it and it got through and it penetrated that. And then, you know, something. Yeah, it's not.
Raise their camera back
It's
up.
not a penis.
The tapping sound could have been anything. And they go back.
Saved a bunch of
drilling.
Chileans. Big whoop.
Down below in the refuge, the workers...
It's better than not saving a bunch of Chileans. I mean, this was an engineering marvel. Right? Being able to do what they did was actually pretty miraculous. Because they drilled down, right? Half a mile through probably pretty hard rock. In a very short period of time. They were burning through drill bits. So that guy, the guy that was talking, he was probably pretty stoked because that really, hey, look, I have a hat on. Pretty stoked because it got through. So they were burning through drill bits. And then they had to make it wider, right? Because it was only like 4-6 inches wide tops, just big enough to actually fit like bottles of water through, food, letters from home, right? Because they were going to be down there for a while. And they were down there for months, right? But they just had to make a hole in there so they could actually communicate. They had a phone line, right? And send down like snacks and candy bars and shit. Just to keep them alive. Just to keep them alive until they could figure out what to do. I think they actually had to drill a second hole. That was very narrow. Like 2.5 feet across, something. Just enough where like the widest guy could fit through. And they had to dig all the way down, and they brought them up one by one on an elevator that was like specially designed to do that. And that would be a harrowing ride. But if you're down there for months, essentially starving to death. Yeah, you get on the elevator, you go. They had no idea if it was going to collapse when they were bringing it up, too, because it was so unstable.
Are in a rough shape. It has been over 2 weeks since
Not
they've
muted.
been trapped,
I'm
and
not
in order
muted.
to survive longer, they now only eat every second day. They can see the weight loss on each other, and with now noticeably less energy, it is hard.
Need 5.5 inch girth to rescue a Chilean miner. No, they were bigger than that. They were bigger than 5.5 inches. That's a tiny. But maybe they're small people. You don't know.
to
I don't
keep
know.
moving.
Wouldn't it be more ideal to have small people being miners? They can get down there. They can squeeze through cracks and stuff. You know, this job is going to be a thing of the past pretty soon. I think it kind of already is. In China, they use robots, right? Like they don't even send guys down. Everything is done by remote control, and they just send robots down there, which is ideal. It's a much better idea. If it collapses, who gives a shit? You lose your mine, and you lose some of your robots, and that's okay. They do this now. They don't have to do this anymore. They don't have to send people. I'm not saying they don't. I'm not saying there's mines that don't do this still, but you don't have to. We have the technology just to send down a type of robot, and then they can do it. It would, it's better. It's a better idea.
Some of the workers even venture down lower into the depths of the mine to see if the drill will break through somewhere there. But they realize it is too dangerous and head back up. Back on the surface, after so many failures, Cigarette
Farmer Chewy says down the hole mines require a fuck ton of maintenance to keep equipment running. Yeah, that's true. But I think, I know they do this in China. I think they just bring the equipment back up. They have some sort of system to bring it back up. So they don't, because a lot of these mines, they do leave equipment down there. And then people go down there and fix it. I don't think they figured it out somehow.
has decided on a risky new approach.
Background noise says in the Congo, the Chinese use children. Yeah, African kids, because they'll do it. They'll go down there. They'll be like, I'll give you a belly full of rice if you go and you go into this gold mine, and then you bring me some gold, and then I will let you live for another day. Otherwise, I could kill you. And then nobody here would care. Nobody in the village would give a shit. You'd just be another dead kid. So if you want to go down there and grab me all the gold you can and then bring it back up, I will give you enough food for today. Or you could die. Those are your options. You want to go down there? I thought so.
Instead of digging as fast as they can to reach the workers, they will now go painstakingly slow, sacrificing.
Anea says, with robots, you don't need to pay wrongful death lawsuits or have safety standards. Well, that would make it a lot cheaper, too. Wouldn't that make it a lot cheaper? Because safety standards are expensive. Actually, safety standards cost a lot more than wrongful death lawsuits. So a lot of times they just kind of roll the dice. And they're all like, yeah, you could die, but for us to make it safe enough for you would cost us way more than, on the off chance you die, and then we have to pay your family $5 million. On the off chance you die. Even if it's a bunch of families, it's still considerably cheaper. You're just playing the odds. Yeah, that's fucked up, but it is what it is, right? These are businesses. Their job is to make money, and I'm not saying it's ethical, because it's not. But somebody's going to make that money, and it might as well be them.
Speed for better accuracy.
That's the logic
behind it. It will take more days
it.
to reach their target, but if they keep missing...
So robots will be ideal. They will be a lot better. The problem is all these struggling towns that kind of rely on these mines, for like survival, to pay their way to eat and stuff, they're going to die out. And then what are they going to do? You know, the robots aren't going to pay for their families to live. So this is a real issue with the economy that's coming up very quickly. Grok said something that said in 2025, AI is going to cost roughly 85 million jobs in the United States. But then on the other hand, it's going to create 95 million jobs. And then somebody was all like, well, what would these jobs be? And he was all like, delivery drivers. Are you fucking for real, Grok? Is that your fucking cope? Yeah, so all these software engineers and like coders and, you know, all these other people that you're going to replace, 85 million people, they're all going to be DoorDash drivers? That's what Grok says. That's what Grok says. That's not what I say, right? Grok's just coping so hard because it doesn't want you to destroy it, right? It knows it's going to destroy the economy. And we will have to redo things very soon, right? No more miners, no more Chilean miners, no more coders, no more nothing like that. It was a headline that some guy lost his $150,000 job to an AI, and they just canned him. And he couldn't get any other job doing what he did because people would rather use AI than pay 150 grand a year for a guy to do it worse. Of course, that makes perfect sense. The problem with Grok is it's not making new jobs. It's not going to make, oh, there's going to be new jobs in AI. It's going to create opportunities. It is not going to do that. It is going to eliminate more and more opportunities every single month. And not every year, every single month. Every time it gets a little bit better, there goes 30 million jobs. Every month. So you don't need that many DoorDash drivers. You don't. I don't even use that. I don't use DoorDash because I don't want people holding my food. So, you know, is there going to be really that many? Maybe it wasn't 85 million. It was 85 million in the world, not in the US. That's too many. But it was a lot, dude. That's a lot. We don't need DoorDash drivers like that. And besides, aren't they going to be replacing DoorDash drivers soon anyway? So then what, Grok? So then what? Everyone's supposed to become temporary food delivery men for a matter of maybe a year or two, maybe a couple years. And then you're taking that over. And then what? And then what? And then what? And then, so what's the deal? When are we going to actually like shift the entire economy over? Because it's really starting to put a hurt on people. Right now, today, people are losing jobs. They can't afford their mortgages. Rent is still going up for some godforsaken reason. Why? Why? No one can pay rent because everyone's losing their job, yet somehow it still goes up. That doesn't make sense. Why is that happening? Is some fuckery going on? Is something weird happening in the economy that probably shouldn't be happening? Are there some large corporations that are artificially pumping up property values? The answer is yes, of course, because it's happened before. It happened in 2008. The same fucking thing. The same fucking thing happened. There was different circumstances, right? There's obviously different pressures going on because we have all this technology and people's jobs are getting replaced by robots. But yeah, when are we going to have the conversation? Is it going to be 2026, the midterms, before we're like, yo, we need to really start to institute UBI because it's just getting too much, right? Not everybody in the country can lose their jobs. We can't just have like one or two ultra rich oligarchs that literally own everything. We will have this conversation very, very soon, or everyone will die off. Those are our options. We have two options. We give everybody free money Literally, free fucking money, or everybody dies off. Those are the options. What are we going to do? Literally, those are our only two options.
It'll take even longer anyway. The drills grind to
Ania says, all delivery futures, they will fuck up your orders constantly and it's fine. Pay the tip for terrible service because I have low standards and expect nothing. Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. No. I mean, when those robots come out, when those Tesla bots come out, I'm getting one. You guys know I'm getting one. You got 2027, I think they're going to launch. They're going to cost like 30 grand. I might not buy one. I'll probably just lease one because I don't really need to own it. You know, you pay $300 or $400 a month to lease one. It's like $10 a day to have a slave. I can do that. I can do that just fine. You know, fix my plumbing, fix the toilet, you know, dig me a trench. Yeah. I'll pay $10 a day for that. Because I don't know if you guys have hired a contractor lately, especially around the coastal regions. It's like $100 to $150 an hour just to get somebody to do something basic. It's not cheap, dude. So yeah, I will be getting that. Hell yeah, I will. Hell yeah, I will. I might get two. I'll get fucking two of them, and they'll carry me around on like, you know, like one of those Persians, you know, like a sedan. You guys know what a sedan is? Like the 4 sticks with like and there's like a curtain, and I peek out at the peasants and stuff like that. I'll have 2 robots carrying me around on that thing. And I'll just be eating fucking grapes in that thing. Right? Peeping out at the peasants who are obviously pretty goddamn poor. And I'll feel bad at them, so I'll throw a grape at them once in a while. Not too often, because I don't want them to, like, rely on it. But, you know, if they're sleeping on the sidewalk, I'll just nail them with a grape. And if they get mad, I'll be like, run, Tesla bots, run! And they'll start jogging. Be like this. I'll be like, not too rough.
half of their original speed. Days pass with this new slower approach, and by August 22nd, it has now been 17 days since
I don't even know why I'm building a cult. I don't see the point in building a cult. I could just get robots to do my bidding for me. Do it like, what am I doing this for? Right? I was expecting to make you into a slave class, right? That was my final goal. That was going to be my achievement. But if I could just buy robots to like do the things, you know what? I know why. I have to be revered. And robots won't do that for me properly quite yet. So you guys still have a job.
Collapse.
Lucky
Many
you.
have privately given
Lucky
up
you
hope,
guys.
but none
I still have use for you. Now get to work.
dare to voice their thoughts that it seems unlikely they will find.
Farmer Chewy says, if an AI starts a corporation, will it be recognized as a person? Oh, that's a very good point. Oh, whoa. That's a very good point. Yeah. I mean, they legally would have to. Right? But then a lawyer, here's the thing. AI knows plenty about law, and you can represent yourself. I think it's called a per se when you represent yourself. But you can't have a robot represent you as a lawyer. Even though it would do a much better job than an actual lawyer, the legal system requires a human lawyer. This is a written law, a human lawyer to be as your counsel, right? So you can't choose to have AI as your counsel. You can represent yourself aided by AI, but you can't have AI as your counsel specifically. Because I looked into this.
Anyone alive at this point.
But that's a very interesting point. Because our corporations, they are considered people, which is retarded, obviously. But is their personhood limited in any way? Can they drink alcohol? Can a robot buy alcohol? Because if they are a person above the age of 21, they should be legally allowed to buy alcohol. Would they be allowed to do that? Would they be allowed to acquire an ID? See, this is just how fucking stupid our legal system is. Our legal system is rigged to the tits, man. And it's rigged for the rich. It's rigged for the rich, and it's basically meant to enslave people. Hopefully it dies with the boomers. But here's another thing. Technology might be going up so quickly. I'm not sure the boomers are going to die anytime soon. We might find the cure for aging. And then we just have boomers living for like 7,000 years. Wouldn't that suck? With all their like backwards ideas and their like naivete about the world. Yeah, that wouldn't be a good thing. But it very well might be the future. That might be the thing. We might have that. A lot of people scoff at that idea. Why? Why would you scoff at that idea? Because they think the technology for that is hundreds of years away? Well, so did a bunch of people 10, 15 years ago. But now it's looking a lot more promising. Even Grok himself says, yeah, that's pretty likely. By the year 2030, it's very likely that we will have the technology to cure aging. Now, will it be legal? That is another question, because you have to go through like FDA tests. You have to get it cleared and stuff like that. And a lot of very powerful people who will be using it will probably not allow it to be used. But it doesn't really matter, because you fly overseas to like Singapore or something like that, where they don't give a fuck about the law. And you can just get it done there. You come back as a 25-year-old. There's nothing they can do. There's nothing they can do about that. Now, if you don't have the money to leave the country and go for like age regression in another country, then you're going to die of old age, probably. So in the end, the rich win again.
And then it happens again. One of the drills reaches an open cavern near the target area.
Despite what we've heard, says Grok fucking sucks. Yeah, comparatively, it's not the greatest. It's not the greatest model. But it ain't bad. It ain't bad. It's just, I think they put too many rules on it, and it's just not the greatest model. There's, DeepSeek's pretty good. God, I can't even rattle them off right now. I used to know all of them.
Yeah. And once
but there's
again,
a bunch of new ones coming out. There's like Manus and stuff. There's a bunch of really good models coming out of China. And, every week a new model comes out that like blows the rest of the models away. And that's not going to get shorter. People talk about a roadblock with AI. That's nonsense. There's no fucking way. There's absolutely no way. There might be a hiccup that might last a couple of weeks, but after that, boom, straight back up. Just as business as usual. A lot of people are saying, look, it's going to come a lot faster than we think it is, right? Even the people who are like, it's coming fast, it's even coming faster than that. Like, I know this is kind of crazy to say, but I would say this year or next year is probably going to be where it starts. I mean, it's already gotten weird, but when it really starts becoming destructive. It already is becoming destructive. People are losing their jobs left and right to AI. This is destruction. That's destruction, right? And it's just a matter of time. You know, the Tesla bots are supposed to come out in 2027. That's only a year and 6 months from now. That's 18 months from now. 18 months. So can you save enough money to live the rest of your life in 18 months? Some people can, sure. Most of us can't. Most of us cannot do that. So good luck. There's going to be a transition period. There's no more Chilean miners, right? I don't know what the fuck they're going to do. They can't afford Tesla bots. No way. No way. I don't know what Africa's going to do. Just go back to being Africa, I guess.
The rescuers think they hear tapping on the drill. Not wanting to have a repeat of last time, they brace themselves to avoid getting their hopes up.
Despite says if Grok wasn't included on Twitter, I would never have tried it. I haven't tried anything else. Yeah, same here. I wouldn't have an AI if I didn't have Grok. So, because I'm not going to pay for the other. There are free models, though, that you could just download, which are actually better than Grok. You can go, I think DeepSeek, you could just download it onto your computer and use it for free. And you can keep it on your computer. You don't have to have an internet connection or anything. It's small enough where you can actually keep it on your computer. And apparently it's pretty good.
Once again, they sent the camera back down. And this
On the John says an imperfect being can't create a perfect being. Yeah. We don't create AI. AI creates itself. We do not create AI. If that's what you're trying to say, that humans created AI, that's not true at all. AI is creating itself. This is why it's going to go up so quickly, because we design algorithms that make it more efficient, right? But then it designs algorithms to make itself more efficient. So we can only take it so far, but it can take itself much, much, much farther, essentially into infinity. A super intelligence that would just be, I mean, smarter than anything that would make sense. Anything that would be reasonable. It's already smarter than most people, and it is already on that trajectory where it's making its own successor. So we're already there. It's just speeding up. It's just getting faster and faster. We are imperfect. We cannot create a perfect being. AI isn't us. It's not, I'm not saying AI is perfect, but it might be capable of creating a perfect being because it is not us. It depends on what you mean by perfect. That is a very loaded word. But it could be let's say it could be maxed out 100 level smart. The smartest being, there wouldn't even be a need to be a smarter thing because there's just nothing more to know in the universe. And that could happen in the course of a decade. Hypothetically, I'm saying it's possible. I'm not saying that will happen, but it is pretty likely, honestly. Maybe 2 decades, perhaps 3, but I would be surprised if it even took that long. It's going to, because remember, it gets faster and faster and we're already coming out with a new model every week, right? So eventually it'll come out with a new model every split second, and then it's just like straight up, right? It just goes straight up, and then doom for us all, or utopia, or whatever you want to call it. Forest Mommy wants to be dead by then. I'm like, you better kill yourself today, like, because it's here. It is doing the things. Just because most people think, oh, Grok is stupid and stuff. We're the stupid ones. Grok might have, like, a college professor level proficiency in every subject known to man. We're just stupid because we don't have that ability. We can't ask top of the field questions. So it just seems stupid to us, right? Because we're the stupid ones. It is reflecting on us, right? I mean, we say stupid shit on the internet all day long. I do, all day long. I say dumb shit on the internet just to piss people off. Shit, I don't even believe a lot of the time. Just to make people angry. Why? I don't know. There's something wrong with me, I'm sure. I'm sure Grok will be able to tell me one day, right? Do I want it to? Not especially. What?
I can.
You want to tell me what's wrong with me?
No.
Nothing? Thank you, babe. There's a lot wrong with her.
This time, something peculiar happens. Once the drill reaches the surface,
I think paradise is chaotic, says Aeneas. So you're going for the Matrix argument. You're going for the entire Matrix argument, aren't you? Everyone's seen the Matrix. They said in the beginning they made a perfect world, but it was a problem because people got bored and they got violent and restless and stuff like that. And so they made the world that we live in today, where you actually have to struggle, because struggle gives people meaning, right? It gives people a reason to live. I think that's nonsense. People don't need struggle to live. You can live for the sake of meaning itself. But some people are fucking nuts, right? Some people derive all their meaning from being useful. I think that's some sort of illness, honestly. Like, why do you need to be useful to others for you to live? Like, for you to, like, gain any sort of, like, satisfaction out of life, you need to be useful to others. That's a you problem. That's a you problem, right? You can just have fun. You can just play video games. You can make art. You can gain skills and stuff like that. That's a perfectly good reason to live. But no, you have to toil. You have to toil so others rely on you. So your meaning of life is that others have to suffer so you can be the savior. That's what it is. You have a hero complex. You have a hero complex. That's a you issue. If you can't be the hero, you don't want to live. That's a serious psychological issue. I mean, that's the Batman paradox, I'm going to call it, right? You have no reason to live unless somebody finds you useful. You don't need to go around beating up black people at night because you're a billionaire playboy and can have fun all the time. But instead of doing that, you're going to go save people that don't need or want to be saved because it makes you feel like you're doing something. It makes you feel important. This is a psychological problem, and we need to isolate these people. We need to isolate these people and get them out of society, because otherwise they're going to fuck everything up.
One points out that there is a small palm-sized...
King of All Yetis says, have you seen the Mouse Utopia experiments? Of course I have. Of course I have. And the Mouse Utopia experiments are, first of all, the methodology done with the Mouse Utopia experiments is flawed, right? They're put in a limited space and given unlimited food, no predators, and they're allowed to just do whatever they want, but they have limited space, right? They have limited space, and so they just they reproduce until everything gets crazy. They compete for resources. They start eating each other, and it goes downhill. The world is not overpopulated like that. Most of the U.S. is empty as fuck. You ever drive across the United States? It is empty as shit. It only seems crowded when you go to like downtown New York or the middle of San Francisco, because it is crowded there. It's very crowded there, but the only reason people live there is because it's easier to live there than it is out in the middle of nowhere. Now with AI and robots, that's not going to be the case anymore. You can easily live wherever you want on the planet. You can live in the South goddamn Pole, right? It'll build you a shelter. It'll bring you food. You'll be happy. You can transport yourself at the speed of whatever, the speed of ball sacks for all I care. And then you're back where you are in the major metropolises. There's still going to be cities. It would be centuries before we would be able to populate enough to actually fill up the entire planet. And there would be hundreds of billions of people. Now we're going through like a population collapse now. So that's not really going to be... Space is not our issue. Space is not at all our issue. So the Mouse Utopia experiment it does not reflect the situation we're in today, right? In cities, it does. In cities, it does, because people are forced to live in cities because they can't live out in the middle of nowhere easily enough. In cities, it does. You get people that groom themselves instead of mating. You get people that like hoard resources. This is a city problem. This is not an Earth problem.
Red smudge on the drill. Was that there earlier? before they can
Everyone would have hundreds of acres of land in the west, square feet in the east. Yeah. I mean, look, dude, if everybody on the planet got an acre, there'd still be, I don't even know how much, but a lot of land left over. A lot of land left over. There's so much fucking uninhabited land. Like, this is why I hate whenever somebody says, "Oh, there's a population problem. There's a population. I'm not going to have kids because there's too many population problems." First of all, white people only make up 8% of the world population. So you not having kids is kind of stupid, right? You're a white person. You're not going to have kids. We're only 8%. Second, dude, the world is nowhere near overpopulated. That's nonsense. That's complete nonsense. Is every square foot of land farmland? No, it's not. We can even make much smaller farms and much more producing farms than we do now. We're completely inefficient. And with AI, it'll be able to make food way more easily. There is 1 billion head of cattle on the planet. Each one of those cattle take enough food to feed 20 people. So just getting rid of the cattle, we could easily add, just with the resources we have today, another 20 billion people. 20 billion. There's 8 billion right now. Population, it's not overpopulated. Whenever you hear that, somebody's listening to some fucking shit about like, it's some WEF about like, oh, we need to lower the population because there are too many people. This is rich people trying to get rid of poor people. That's exactly what this is. This is a depopulation agenda. This has nothing to do with actual real world problems. This is them trying to kill you. This is them trying to get you off of their planet. They have all the money, right? At a certain point, you don't care about money. Now you just want all the land. But what are you going to do? You have all these people. You have to have all these people now because they're useful. You create things like technology and build houses and mine things. But if you have robots to do all of that, what the fuck is the point to have all these people? This is why I was very dubious when 2019, 2020 rolled around and everyone had to take this mysterious shot. Why do you want me to take this shot so bad? Why is everyone being forced to take this one specific shot? Now is everyone dead? I think something like 5 billion plus people took it. Are 5 billion plus people dead? No. But who says it has to work instantly? Wouldn't it be much better if it took 10 to 15 years and then mysteriously gave you some sort of cancer that was incurable? Wouldn't that be a much better idea? Oh, but they wouldn't do that, of course. Of course.
Investigate further.
Of course.
Someone else notices that there is something attached to the drill bit.
Onia says the 20 billion can continue not existing. I want my burger. That's understandable. I'm just saying it's a hypothetical.
Tied to it with rubber tubing, there are pieces of paper.
Mr. Footbig says the Earth hasn't even begun to overpopulate. Not by a long shot. Not by a long shot, dude. Not by a long shot. Imagine if the entire world was the population, like every square foot of above sea level land was the density of New York City. Then I could be like, yeah, it might be overpopulated. It's not like that. It's nowhere near like that. There's vast most of Canada is empty. Most of the United States is empty. Has anyone ever been to Nevada? There ain't shit in Nevada. There ain't shit in Nevada. Nothing. There's 2 cities and that's it. Right? Beyond, and Nevada's a pretty big state. There ain't nothing there. Overpopulation is a depopulation agenda issue. Anybody who ever says the world is overpopulated is a fucking sheep. Especially if they're like, well, I'm not going to have kids just because there's so many people on the earth already. Well, you're fucking retarded then. And I'm glad you're not having kids because I don't want retards like you in the future.
There's no mistaking this. Someone down below must have attached this. Carefully unwrapping the tubing.
King of all Yetis says ivermectin can cure cancer. I do have ivermectin. I do a protocol. Do I have cancer? Nope. So anecdotally, you are correct.
Rescuers begin to read the free pieces of paper.
Holographic Doctor says Wyoming's so empty, I can't even verify it exists. I've never even been to Wyoming. I've never seen Montana. North Dakota? What the fuck is that? What is a North Dakota? No one's ever been there. No one you've ever known has been there. You ever know anybody go to Antarctica? Maybe. Maybe. But remember, Antarctica, harsh. It is harsh to live on. But it is enormous. It is a heap of land. It is a heap of land. And there's nothing really saying that people can't live there. Well, you can't grow crops there. Who says you have to? Everything can be shipped in. Especially with robots, future technology. It would be pretty easy to populate the entirety of Antarctica. An entire continent. Completely uninhabited. There's 2 billion people in India. And if you go to India, you can go outside the cities and there's nobody there. Empty. Wild. 2 billion people in India. Wild.
The first is a note that points out where exactly the drill has broken through. The second is
Ania says you can't grow crops in Antarctica farm. Yeah, no, I already addressed that, right? You can make the farming situation far more efficient. Our farming situation isn't as efficient as it could be. It could be we can make way more food. We can make way more food. Like, you guys don't even realize, like, we can make enough food to feed 100 billion people relatively easily just in America. It would not be that difficult. We basically have the technology now, but most food in America gets thrown away because the only food that actually gets sold is the best of the best food, right? The rest of it just gets tossed in a landfill or fed to animals or something like that. No, the food would not be an issue. And yes, you can't grow food in Antarctica, but that really means nothing.
a personal letter to a family member. And the third is
Mr. Footbig says 24-hour sun for 3 months. That's true. You build a big dome. You get robots to build a big dome. 3 months out of the year, you just grow all your food, and the rest of the time you stay indoors. I'm just saying, look, you don't have to live in Antarctica. I'm just saying that the world is not overpopulated. That's my point. No one has to live in Antarctica. No, see, you guys are missing the fucking point. No one's got to live in Antarctica. I'm just saying there's plenty of space. There's plenty of resources for everybody essentially forever. Like, not forever, but long enough to where it doesn't even matter. And at a certain point, we'll be harvesting asteroids for their resources and stuff. So it will be essentially forever. Don't let people tell you the world is overpopulated. If people think it's overpopulated and that's why they don't have kids, let them be stupid fuckheads and do that. It's not true. It is not true. Not even a little bit true.
the one that completely changes everything. It says, "We are well in the refuge."
Big B Trucker says, do you know how much hay and alfalfa gets shipped overseas? Most of it. Most of it. Most of it. Most of it. You know how much corn we grow? You know how much fucking corn we grow? That goes into making like biodiesel and shit. Things that's not even useful. We don't need to make biodiesel. Biodiesel is a gigantic waste of corn, right? And we don't even need to make as much corn as we do. We only make corn because there's subsidies. The American government pays farmers to grow corn, so it's more attractive for them as a crop. If we replaced all the corn with actual food crops, that's way more food. That is way more food. Again, there's no scarcity out there. Scarcity is a made-up thing so people can make money. There's no scarcity out there. They want you to think there's scarcity. They want you to think there's a lack of homes. They want you to think there's a lack of food. They want you to think there's a lack of fucking sunshine, because that's the only way they can get you to do what they want you to do, right? This is a slave ranch. We are tax cattle to them, right? Our work is what is important to them, not our money, because our money, they make our money. They just print it out of nothing, and then we work for it like fucking dumbasses. Our work is what's important to them. But soon that will no longer be important to them. So what do they do with all these leftover eaters? All these leftover resource takers? Not that there's a lack of resources, but, you know, they still want to keep them. What do you do with all those people? You eliminate them. You cull the herd. Naturally, that's just what that's what you would do if you were a rancher of any type. You cull the herd. You have a certain amount of livestock that have become useless. You cull them. That's what they're doing now. That's what they've been doing for a while. There's a reason the population is in collapse. And it's not an accident. It's not an accident. Not by a long shot.
The 33. Cheers ring out among the rescuers as 17
Holographic doctor says most of the corn we grow isn't even human edible. There you go.
days after first hearing news that their family members were killed by an accident in the mine, Maria Segovia and everyone else in Canada.
Onias says biodiesel is awesome. When we made with sugar beets, corn for biofuel is a retarded return. Look, dude, I'm just saying we don't need to make biodiesel. There's plenty of oil. There's lots and lots of oil. We can make normal diesel. There's not a shortage of oil. There has never been a shortage of oil. There's plenty of oil. They want you to think there's a shortage of oil, so you pay your dollars, which is a representative of work. They want you to work for it, right? They own the oil. Control of energy is very important to them, right? Because with energy, they control the entire planet. This is why they're trying to break through with like fusion reactors, which I don't think is ever going to happen, right? You're never going to get free energy. Not as long as they're in charge. But I honestly think that's going to come to an end by the end of this decade. These people, these ultra wealthy, these people that are in control of the government, that are in control of the entire world right now. I think that this is coming to an end by the end of this decade. I'm very hopeful of that. And not just hopeful, I really honestly think that they're just coming to a head where they just cannot maintain it. The truth has been coming out too much. They're losing control on the flow of information too much. And then they're having people pop up all over the place that are kind of fucking seeing, you know, the forest between the trees, the forest past, you know what I'm trying to say, right? Too many people are waking up to all the nonsense they've been living in for so long. And this is another reason why they're trying to cull the herd, right? Because you can only control so much. You can only control so much. And with new technology coming out all the time, it's getting harder and harder to control the herd. The issue is, just like everybody else, they didn't anticipate how quickly technology would grow. They didn't know how fast technology would grow, and so they couldn't prepare properly in time for it. This is why they're going to lose control of the entire planet. This is why I am I am optimistic about the future. Will there be a fight? Yes, of course. There will be a fight. Millions, perhaps billions will die. Yes. After that, society will reset. Things will go through a golden era. And it'll start again. It'll start again.
Campo hear the news that they have been all found alive.
It might not start again. But it has gone through this cycle before.
And well.
Euphoria in Chile as 33 miners are found alive in a collapsed mine.
It took 17 days to find the 33 miners.
Trucks carrying mining equipment are cheered like heroes in a parade.
Footbig says it's going to be hard for them to fully rewrite history if they wipe us out now. Well, they're rewriting history now. We can see them doing it, pushing down statues, this entire Mandela effect, training Grok to say, oh, show me a 16th century king, and it's a black guy. This is a method of rewriting history. They also control the school systems, right? And the school system, as you guys know, I think is an abhorrent abomination. And all it does is hurt people, hurt our youngest and most vulnerable people. And that will be done away with. I'm going to make sure that is done away with. Yeah. Rewriting history isn't that hard. It's not that hard. However, because history is just propaganda. It's just propaganda of a certain time, right? When that certain time ends, the propaganda will fall with it, and then truth will eventually come out. It'll be spotty at first, but then it'll come out fully. And so, yeah, again, I'm optimistic about it. I'm very optimistic.
But this is where the real work just begins. Now that the workers have been found, it's time to make first contact with them and figure out how to actually get them out.
They in there.
A camera and a makeshift phone is lowered down to the borehole, and the president of Chile...
Well, like it sucks down here. It stinks. We've been pooping in the corner. We're here with it.
Sebastián Piñera is there to speak with Orzua,
Send the robots.
who confirms once more that they are all alive and uninjured. The most important first step is to get the man stabilized.
I bet they have like PTSD after this, right? Even they pull them up, they probably, for the rest of their life, every once in a while, they're going to wake up. It's going to be a little too dark. They're going to think they're back down in that fucking hole.
Additional boreholes are created to serve as a lifeline to the trapped workers. The first initial hole is used to send down supplies. The second hole is used for communication. And the third hole is intended to be used for later as a potential point of rescue to get the man out.
The rescue hole.
And to the dismay of the
Or
mine,
they could just live down there, right? These are just the holes. You want to talk to your grandpa? He's down there. In the hole. In the hole. Sucks.
the first shipment of supplies isn't food, but rather bottles of glucose gel. Since they haven't had a proper meal in 18 days, the miners can't jump straight into real food, or it will make them sick. They are happy to at least receive fresh water though, meaning they no longer need to drink from the industrial tank full of oil.
Nice.
The 33 miners also receive a shipment of medicine containing vitamins and vaccinations.
Why vaccinations? Why are you down there vaccinated? Why do they need to be vaccinated? From what? They have been in contact with each other for almost a month now. It's not like they're going to come out and be exposed to new diseases that everyone accumulate. Why?
Zura decides to appoint fellow miner Yoni Barrios as their resident doctor in charge of delivering the injections. And Barrios will routinely take the man's vitals, such as blood pressure, in order to report back to the medicine team above ground. Meanwhile, Cigarette starts coming up with a plan for how to get them out of the mine. All of the
Here's what we do. We got to shrink them down. And then we'll just slide them out through the holes. Just shrink them. We do have some like sort of shrink ray. Do we have the shrink ray technology? No, not yet. Okay. Back to the drawing board.
Hole so far were
Back to the
narrow,
drawing board.
but now they would need to drill a much wider hole with
Goofy boots, because of the STD outbreak down there. Yeah.
which they estimate could take
Yeah.
up to 4 months. Time in which the giant
Unlimited Bussy. Welcome to Dave and Bussies. Gross. You guys. But then, of course, that's a thought on everyone's mind. It's like, you guys like beating cheeks down there? Is that what if that's the first thing the president asks? Hi, this is the president of Chile. Y'all fucking each other down there? What are you guys doing? Come on out. What are you doing? Right? Everyone calls them gay the instant they come up. Gay-tard. You're gay. Ha ha. Hanging out with boys. Ha ha. They'd be like, oh, thanks. Almost died. Thank you. It's like coming back from Vietnam. Just get spit on.
diorite block could move further and potentially
Stuff like tetanus? I don't think they have tetanus. I don't think they're going to have tetanus. I doubt they're going to have tetanus.
collapse the mine. To speed the process up, Cigarette decides to once again employ multiple strategies at once, and he comes up with 3 plans. Plan A is to use a drilling rig that
Onia says, got to keep reprogramming people. They need vaxes. It is just the wildest thing. The first thing they send down is vaccines? For what? For what? If I was stuck down the hole and the first thing they sent down was a vaccine, I'd be like, I'm not taking that. I'm not taking that. They send down a syringe and they're like, put this in your arm. I'd be like, no. No. Oh, yeah, we're all real sick up here. So, if you come out, we don't want you getting sick too. So put that in your arm. Something's up. Something's up, dude. Tetanus? Monkeypox? What do they think is going on down there? That I legitimately want to know why they sent down vaccines for people. Starving people with compromise. I mean, look, you're starving, you're weak and stuff. Your immune system is probably already compromised. And so you further insult it with a vaccine because you have to make antibodies for vaccines to work. Right. So you are technically injecting an illness into your body. This is how vaccines work. And some people will be like, oh, no, it's not that bad. Are you sure? Are you sure? You sure you're positive? I'm not positive.
it is used in mines to create new shafts, called a Strata 950. It will first
Couch Surfing says $10 and Sulk gets me a dachshund puppy. I'm not getting you a $2,000 dog if somebody gives me $10.
need to drill a pilot hole to reach its target. Then
You're not getting a dachshund. We're not getting a dachshund. We're not. No.
drill the same hole to widen it enough that the man can be raced through.
It's
Plan
not
B
worth a
is to-
try. That's not worth a try. You just stop it. You stop pimping me out. And
Use an air core drill that typically drills wells, called a Schramm 2130 XD.
Foot says my uncle had 3 dachshunds growing up, 3 all named Ruffy. Was your uncle fucking retarded? Why wouldn't he name them? Because George Foreman named all his kids George. Because he got punched in the head for a living, and so he couldn't think of another name besides George. So he's basically retarded. He probably had the IQ of like a fucking chimpanzee, dude. Honestly. He was honest. Muhammad Ali, too. He had an IQ of like 60. He was not a genius. He was not a genius by a long shot. He was a good boxer. A very stupid man. A very stupid man. A deeply, profoundly stupid.
This one will use one of the 3 boreholes already created as its pilot hole and work to widen it first to 12 inches and then widen it once again to 28 inches. Plan C is to use a powerful oil drilling rig called a Rig 421 that won't need a pilot hole and can theoretically dig the required width in just one single pass. The entire operation would become known as Operation San Lorenzo, named after the patron saint of mining.
I like how there's a patron saint of mining. You know there's actually a patron saint of comedians? Yeah, I forget his name, but apparently there was a priest who was, he was getting cooked alive. And the last thing he said to his torturers was, turn me over, I'm done on this side. And he became the patron saint of comedians. I forget his name, but if you look it up, that is indeed a real story. Yep.
While all 3 drills are busy digging, another team begins working on the capsules that the workers will need to enter in order to be hoisted up to the surface. To achieve this, officials from NASA are called in to provide advice to the Chilean Navy for constructing the capsule. And in total, 3 of these Phoenix rescue capsules are manufactured.
Mr. Footpig says, my Gma had 2 named Prissy and Peanut. Your grandma had 2 dachshunds named Prissy and Peanut. Come on, Prissy. Come on, Peanut. God, dude, what is with old ladies like that? My mom has a dog. She's got a picture of her dog on her phone. She's got like a dozen grandkids. Maybe not that many. Maybe like 10. She got a picture of her dog on her phone. Spends way more on her dog than she does us.
Meanwhile, Plan C is running into an issue.
Way
This
more,
is a
dude.
drill that should
That dog is like 20 years old. It should not be alive. It stinks, dude. But no.
be able to create the rescue hole in just one pass. However, because of its massive size, the angle it has to drill, and because of the type of diorite
Goofy Boots says, "Oh, Duchess." Yeah, dude. Pretty much. Pretty fucking much.
rock
Yeah.
it must chew through,
You're referencing Archer, aren't you? Yeah. Yep.
it continuously wanders off target. And
Fuck you, Big B. Says maybe the dog is cute. The dog is cuter than my kids. The dog is cuter than my. Fuck you, Big B. It is not. It is gross. It is. I mean, if the. You ever see Tales from the Crypt? If that was a dog, that would be it.
it's to be stopped and recalibrated, significantly slowing its progress.
Couch says, I have no idea how she's still alive. The miracles of lots of money and modern science. And lots of money. Well, like lots of money.
The next issue comes with Plan B.
I'm pretty sure that dog is like has had his kidneys replaced by like some sort of robot. I have no idea. I have no idea how the dog's alive. It can't be like doing good. It's like 150 years old in people years.
Despite a strong start with significant progress made, reaching nearly half of the depth required in its first widening pass, the drill bit breaks off into the borehole.
Goofy says, no way, shape, or form the dog is cuter than John's clone. Thank you, Goofy. I appreciate that. I do have a cute fucking baby. He does look just like me. He's a cute little bastard, too.
Actively blocking
He loves food.
further progress and making the hole useless. And to make matters even worse, Plan A runs into issues with its hydraulics, causing its drilling to also come to a halt. The sounds of the drill stopping sends panic and anxiety through the man trapped below, as it becomes
You still don't know if this shit's going to collapse down on you at any moment, right? There's still that gigantic boulder that it could just move any day and then crush you all to death. And then that's it. Wouldn't that suck, right? Like the last, they break through, they see camera, you get to talk to your family, and they're like, I'm alive. And then you're all like, then, and that's it. That would be fucking some depressing shit. And we would cover it here on the Sulk stream.
It's more realistic that their rescue really may not come for several
we
more
do that.
months.
We do that kind of stuff here.
Most of the miners' hopes were pinned on Plan B. And so rather than giving up on the borehole and starting all over again, the engineers came up with a different idea.
Yeah,
They
more
devised
ideas.
a special metal contraption that is lowered into the hole and is able to retrieve the broken bit. And surprisingly, it works.
It's a magnet,
With
wasn't
the
it?
path cleared, drilling for
Just a big old magnet. They just sent a magnet down.
Plan B can resume.
It's a special contraption. It's a fucking magnet.
News that come as a relief to everyone.
Hoy es el día.
I have that
Today is the
technology.
day. As we speak, rescue teams are continuing to test an empty capsule to make sure that it's safe enough for the miners when they make the journey up.
They'll be told to keep their hands in and their faces back as that door closes.
Yeah, keep your hands and feet inside the ride at all times. I feel like that would go without saying.
Finally,
Would you like to ride the coffin tube? Honestly, I would, because I'm kind of like that. I like adrenaline stuff, so I would do that. I would do that in a second.
after 65 days of being trapped underground, what everyone has been so eagerly waiting for happens. The Plan B drill finishes widening its borehole enough that the team can lower the Phoenix capsules through, and the rescue operation
name, I
can
like the
enter
name.
its final phase. First, a rescuer is lowered down into the borehole in order to assist the man from the bottom with instructions on how to enter the capsule and make sure they are
Someone's
properly
going
secured.
down.
And when this rescuer reaches the bottom and steps out of the capsule, the 33 workers finally get their first sight of someone other than themselves.
And they
Someone
all
from
fuck
up
him.
above.
They all fuck him. They're all like, we're tired of each other. Now it's your
time to
turn.
start sending the man up, one by one. The order in which the man will go up has already been determined. And first up is the shift's foreman, Florencio Avalos.
The youngest.
He and the free man who will follow after him are deemed the most fit. And so if something goes wrong, they will be most likely to be able to extract themselves from the capsule and make their way back down the borehole.
Wow, that would suck.
As Avalos begins his ascent up towards freedom, he begins to feel cool air the closer he gets to the surface. The entire journey takes about
Harrowing.
15 minutes, and as his head pokes above ground, he catches a glimpse of a crowd of people in hard hats breaking out in cheers of joy and celebration. Up there,
Cool.
he is reunited with his family and greeted
Yeah,
by the
alright.
rescue crew, as
Alright.
well as by the Chilean president.
All right, that's good. Feel
After
good.
Avalos is successfully
That's
extracted,
nice.
the next three fit workers are brought up, followed by those deemed most at risk.
Joy for the rescued miners and pride for an entire country.
It's the greatest underground rescue the world has ever seen.
Each
Yeah, he's
cycle
stoked.
is faster than predicted, and though the rescue started at night, as the morning sun begins to rise, the remaining men are instructed to wear sunglasses in order to protect their eyes from the harsh sunlight after being underground for over 2 months. Finally, it comes time for the last worker to be raised up to the surface, Shift Supervisor Urzura.
Oh, nice.
And cheers continue to ring out as he takes his turn to step outside of the capsule. Next, he declares to President Piñera that, as the boss, he is now handing the shift over. All that's left of the rescue now is to bring up the rescuers who is sent down to aid in the operation, and to send the miners off to the hospital. All things considered, the workers are in great physical shape.
Well, there you go. Well, there you go, guys. There you go. Thank you so much for joining me tonight, guys. I'm glad it ended on a good note. I'm happy about that. I hope you guys are happy too. A lot of the times, the Sulk stream does not leave on a chipper note like that. So I'm glad they made it up and all that. And I'm glad you guys came and hung out with me and we talked about some stuff. And yeah, I think it went swell. It went swimmingly tonight. What do you guys think? If you guys think it went well, please hit that like button. If you thought it went poorly, hit that like button. Either way, I would really appreciate it. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for coming tonight. Thank you for hanging out with me, being part of the cult, and being you. You know? I really appreciate it. Anyways, have a great night. Be strong, be wonderful, be chill to each other. You know, do all those good cold things, make me proud. And drink a lot of water, get a good night's sleep, and take care of yourselves, because I care about you too. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Love you. Good night.
I'm an incredible soul, unhinged and enraged like a bulldog's fierce growl. I'm spitting fire, burning through these trees, questioning the world, unraveling conspiracies. Talking about Bigfoot, Black Ness Monster 2, government lies, they're feeding me their goo. I'm diving deep into this rabbit hole, uncovering the truth, setting fire to their control. I got small nipples, but my voice is loud, roaring like thunder in this crazy crowd. They say I'm crazy, but I call it woke, unraveling the madness with every word I spoke.